Mark the Geek here and welcome back to a brand new video, and today I'm going to be ranking every Doctor Who series finale from modern Doctor Who, from the new series. Now this is a sort of sequel to my series opener ranking that I did back in November, and considering the time I'm recording this, The Timeless Children was just a year old, the series 12 finale, I thought it would be fun to go back on all the other finales and rank them from worst to best. But the main thing I need to stress before we get started is just my opinion, so no need to comment like, oh, why did you give When the River Song a 1 out of 10? Come on, it wasn't that bad. To the person who commented that on my Series 6 review, I mean no ill will towards you, mate. But it's my opinion, so I'm going to say what I want to say. So, anyway, let's get to it. In bottom spot, a surprise to absolutely nobody, Hellbent. If you want to know fully why I don't like this story and why it is my least favourite Doctor Who story of all time, just check out my Hellbent episode review, which I did. That goes into detail as to why. But, I mean, Gallifrey, wasted. Rassilon, rubbish. Clara's death, completely undermined and ruined. The Doctor shooting the General is an awful scene. I detest it. One of the worst moments in Doctor Who history. Poor fan service, an abysmal resolution to the hybrid story. It's not really made clear in the episode. It would be in the Doctor and Clara. It was said later in an interview with Moffat anyway. And by the time the Doctor forgets Clara at the end, I just don't care. In 11th place is the Wedding of River Song. Again, I really don't like this one at all. First of all, it's way too convoluted. Like the stuff with the silence and I never got it. And the stuff at the beginning when time's all weird and like there's a pyramid and a train and Churchill's there, and it makes no sense. And you shouldn't have needed to overcomplicate it, because Series 6 is complicated enough as it is. So it doesn't make sense. The whole climax of the Doctor and River have to get married to save the universe. Like, I don't like the Doctor being romantic anyway, but like, why do they have to get married? I don't get it. Why? Why do they have to get married? And what properly frustrates the living daylights out of me is the way that they just retcon the Doctor's. Because in the opener, the Impossible Astronaut, obviously the Doctor was shot on the beach. Turns out, no, that was the robot duplicate, the Tesselector, and it was River in the spacesuit all along, and it was meaningless. As a finale, it just undercuts the entire series, and is kind of what lets Series 6 down a bit, for me. I don't think Series 6 is bad, but this, if it was a much better finale and didn't completely undermine everything that the series was doing, then I probably would like Series 6 a hell of a lot more. At number 10 is Dark Water and Death in Heaven. Now, Dark Water Part 1, I quite like. I mean, it's definitely got massive problems with it. Like, Clara threatening to chuck the TARDIS keys in the lava, and Danny Pink's death. Because I don't buy that relationship, I don't buy those emotional scenes, so it makes Clara come off as kind of obnoxious. And the whole don't cremate me stuff, while it doesn't personally affect me, I totally get why it would upset a lot of other people, and you had every right to complain about that. But I think it's a good build-up, I think it's a good setup, the Cybermen converting the dead, that's a really grim, dark concept, but it's just about right. I think I like a bit of dark stuff in Doctor Who, and the Missy reveal was really good, and Capaldi was great in it, and it was really good. But Part 2 is just dire. It's awful. So with all that great build-up in Part 1, what do the Cybermen do in Part 2? Stand about for a bit in a graveyard. That's it. And, Missy, what does she want with the Cybermen? She's trying to give the Doctor an army so they can be friends again. That's a bit underwhelming, isn't it? And the whole resolution to the Clara Danny stuff, it's just, I don't care, so it just doesn't work. And the Am I a Good Man stuff, it's all rightly done, I guess, but I don't feel a whole lot to it, even though Capaldi's speech is pretty cool, and Capaldi gets some really good moments in this, and it's just a really naff story. And also, Cyberbrig, really hate that. At number 9, we have the Battle of Stinky Socks. I mean, Ranskor of Kolos, with the return of nobody's favourite villain, Tim Shaw. I mean, if you look at this and you look at all the other series finale villains, Tim Shaw properly sticks out like a sore thumb. Like, Tim Shaw is not a finale villain. Like, he's got no presence whatsoever. Like, he's just so bland, and it's just, this story is so bland and forgettable and dull, and it's not a finale, You can't try and do the whole big epic conclusion, end of the universe thing, if your series was trying to be more simplistic, because that's what Series 11 was trying to do with the whole, back to basics thing. You can't just then do this and expect it to work, because it doesn't. There's some cool ideas, like the Psychic Planet, the Ooks, the the shrinking all the planets and stuff. But it's either stuff that's been done before or concepts that are wasted. And also, there's no battle in this episode, so it's false advertising. And the whole Graham wants revenge on Tim Shaw after killing Grace doesn't work, because literally one episode ago, and it takes you away, he'd accepted that Grace is gone, so it just doesn't work. Yaz gets nothing to do, and it's such an underwhelming finale, to the point where I consider Resolution the actual finale to Series 11. The threat is there. It was only broadcast a few weeks later, so it's still pretty much in the Series 11 time frame, and it just works better as a finale, I think, as opposed to this. In 8th place, we have the most recent finale, Ascension of the Cybermen and the Timeless Children. Now, looking back on this one, it's not aged right. I mean, I like Ascension of the Cybermen. I think it's fun, and I think it's solid. I like the whole space opera style. I think the Cybermen were good, and obviously Ashad, the lone Cyberman, is very good. But the Brendan stuff just feels really weird and out of place in Ascension of the Cybermen. You've got a robot from the future, and then there's some Irish guy. It doesn't work side by side. But then the Timeless Children is just a completely different episode, pretty much. Like does a completely different thing, and then the Cybermen stuff just kind of gets a bit. It just kind of gets shafted. The Ashad literally gets shrunk down. Like, it's a real waste of that Cyberman plot. Like, if you want to do a Cyberman finale, cool. You want to do a Gallifrey story, cool. Do them in different series. I mean, the Timeless Child arc, people have talked about it to death, haven't they? But I really can't stand I don't mind the idea, but it being the Doctor, I just don't like it. Really just undermines the Doctor's character. That's what I really don't like. But as an episode, it is alright. I love Jodie and Sasha in it. I love the Cybermen. I quite like the Cyber Time Lords, and some of it can be kind of enjoyable, but it's not a very coherent finale. Now at number 7, controversial me here, is Army of Ghosts and Doomsday. Now look, Army of Ghosts is a great setup. The whole torture thing, finally learning what torture is. It's really cool after being teased throughout the whole series. The Cybermen are really good in Army of Ghosts. There's some characters are great, like Mickey, he really comes into them, and there's another really good character like Yvonne Hartman, who's like the head of Torchwood. And that cliffhanger when the Daleks get revealed is properly good, and like the Cybermen have won. Then Doomsday just lets it down completely. I don't like Doomsday. I'm sorry. Now, if I pose to you that question, who would win out of the Daleks or the Cybermen, the two most iconic Doctor Who monsters? Could you immediately say who would win? Because I probably couldn't. I'd probably say the Daleks would just about edge it. Turns out in this, the Cybermen are complete pansies and get wiped off the floor. Like, come on, at least destroy some Daleks. I mean, it's so one-sided, and it's so one-sided, and I don't like the Cybermen being used this way. It dilutes them as villains, and as they are my favourite monster, it really annoys me. And the whole Rose thing of, the exit, it's too long. All that soppy stuff on the beach. I don't like the romance stuff. I don't. And it just annoys me. And Rose comes across as kind of selfish, with wanting to, her family's in the parallel universe and she wants to stay with the Doctor. It comes across as a bit selfish, and this is a really underwhelming finale. Doomsday is. At number 6, we have the Series 3 finale, Utopia, Sound of Drums, and Last of the Time Lords. Now, it's this point in the list where these next few entries could swap around any day of the week. These next few. They could swap around, and yeah. Now I really wanted to put this one a bit higher because Utopia is fantastic. The whole it's in the future. It's the end. It's the end of the universe. The human colony wanted to get to Utopia. It's kind of bleak, but it's also hopeful at the same time. I like that. Captain Jack. It's great seeing Jack back. And Derek Jacobi. Oh my God, he is incredible as the Master. And then the Sound of Drums comes along. You've got this really cool political thriller. The Master's taking over Britain, and it feels kind of scary, in sort of how real it could be. And John Sim, even if he's a bit over the top, he does give a very good performance as the Master. I think he's quite threatening. He basically wins at the end of he basically wins at the end of the Sound of Drums. But then the third part, Last of the Time Lords, Russell just written himself into a corner. First of all, you've got the Doctor Dobby House Elf. You've got the Doctor as Dobby the House Elf when he was aged with the Master's laser screwdriver. I do like that, though, the laser screwdriver. But it just looks ridiculous. And the ending is just a complete cop-out. Like, we saved the world with prayer. Everyone was saying the word Doctor at one specific time. Like, it's just... it's such a naff climax, but the Master's death and Martha's exit do somewhat redeem it. So yeah, an underwhelming climax in what was otherwise a great finale. Number 5, we have the Pandorica opens and the Big Bang. This one is properly epic. You've got all the different monsters and characters coming back. It's really cool, and it makes it feel like a lot of the episodes in Series 5 meant something. Even if it was like a returning character. It makes it feel like it means something, and the idea of the Pandorica is really cool. The Alliance is great. The Doctor's speech on Stonehenge is amazing, and that cliffhanger is proper, like, hopeless, isn't it? And I think the second part does let it down slightly. That's a common thing with finales, but it's not as bad here as a lot of the other ones. But yeah, the finale, I don't know. It's not bad, though. I do like the more fairy tale approach to it. I like that, and it was quite refreshing after Russell's finales. But it is a little bit of a cop-out, but it's not one that annoys me, and it doesn't really let the whole story down, in my opinion. Overall, I think it's a really good finale. At number 4, we have the Series 4 finale, The Stolen Earth and Journey's End. This isn't just the finale to Series 4, but it's also the finale to the Rusty Davies era of Doctor Who. And also, you've got Torchwood, Sarah Jane Adventures characters, all of the characters. The Doctor, Martha, Donna, Jack, Rose, Mickey, Jackie, Sarah Jane, Gwen and Yanto in Torchwood, Luke from Sarah Jane Adventures, Harriet Jones, all these characters coming together. It was basically Infinity War before Infinity War was a thing. The Daleks are properly threatening this one. They're proper scary, you see a full-on invasion. Davros is really sinister. Julian Bleach can do those mad shouty bits and the more subtle bits as well. The regeneration cliffhanger and just the finality of it all. I envy anyone who got to watch this on broadcast. Again, part 2, I just think, buckle under the weight of all this stuff. You've got Daleks, Davros, you've got all the different characters from Doctor Who, Torchwood and Sarah Jane Adventures. You've got a companion exit, you've got a regeneration twist, and I think it does kind of buckle under the weight of that, but not as bad as previous finales. And I think Donna's exit, which is heartbreaking, does make up for it, and it's a great finale. At number 3, we have The Name of the Doctor. I don't know why I like this one as much as I do, but there's something about it I've always loved. It feels kind of epic, because it's one of the Matt Smith's last stories, so I don't know what it is, I just really like it. The idea of visiting a time traveller's grave, is really interesting, and it's something I don't see in sort of time travel fiction. I think, bringing back, obviously you've got Eleven and Clara, you've got the Paternoster gang, you've got River, I think really good, bringing them all into it. Richard E. Grant as the villain is great, and the John Hurt reveal at the end is just magnificent, and it's bone-chilling. The only gripe I have with it is, Clara entering the Doctor's time stream and saving him, which, it was sort of when Clara was starting to become a bit too special, but here I can kind of let it past. Any other time, not really. Number 2, we have One More Time When the Doctor Falls. This episode is an absolute masterpiece, and this story has also a nostalgia factor for me, so it's got that in its favour. The body horror of the Cybermen is proper creepy, and it does the Cybermen justice, and it doesn't waste them. And seeing them on Last Cybermen again is really cool. And Bill's fate of becoming a Cyberman, it's so heartbreaking, it's so tragic. And the Doctor Falls, I think, really expands in it quite well. Capaldi's on top form here, whether it's the Be Kind speech or him blowing up the Cybermen in the forest at the end, or whether it's, any moment pretty much, is amazing. The two Masters as well, Missy is great with her redemption arc, and John Sim is really well, he serves the purpose of reflecting how the Master used to be. It's great. Great action, great horror, great drama, great tragedy. It's the whole package. But at number 1, taking the top prize, is Bad Wolf and the Parting of the Ways. While Bad Wolf isn't quite as good, it's still a really effective first part, with the game shows being really cool commentary on how game shows have been taken too far and how violent they can be, reality TV and stuff. And I do kind of remember when Big Brother used to look like that, so it is a bit nostalgic. And the cliffhanger to Bad Wolf is perfection. But Parting of the Ways eclipses everything, and it's an absolute masterpiece. The Daleks are terrifying, the Dalek Emperor's great, Rose is great, Jack's great, the supporting cast like Linda with a Y is great. There's some horrible deaths, and the Ninth Doctor is at his most heroic here, and it's the culmination of everything in Series 1, and it is the perfect series finale. It's absolutely fantastic.